he's a man of variety. He has a very large repertoire, but he does open with his king's pawn, and we see the French defense. Nepomniachtchi opening with the French. That's something he was criticized for in the first half of the candidates last year. We see the advanced variation of the French, white gaining a lot of space. It's very blocked though, lots of tension. This is good from Caruana. This is what he needs to do, keep pieces on the board. And actually they battled in this opening as well yesterday. With mixed success for Caruana, he did struggle to get the positions he liked, but he's had time to do his homework.
Yeah.
Black bringing his knight to the side of the board there.
Well, there's been a change of approach because Fabiano was, when the knight came in and blocked the dark square bishop, Fabiano was in fact developing his knight to the edge of the board, which is very, very thematic. Instead, we see a completely different change of approach, and he's picked up his bishop and moved it to the perfect diagonal for this light square piece.
Yep. So White's bishop has, however, stepped in the way of White's queen. That's why Nepomniachtchi's developed his queen to the side of the board. Now eyeing up White's centre, trying to undermine the White centre. White has actually captured a pawn. This is something you rarely see in the French advanced variation. White giving up his stronghold in the middle of the board. But Caruana, he's estimating that he's given up one of White's central pawns, traded it off, but he might be able to gain some time against Black's pieces. And there we go. He kicks back that Black bishop, which has to retreat now. This is going to become very dynamic now.
Exactly, and the rook slides over to protect the pawn. And one idea that I know I've done myself in this particular position, if you black were to castle, then I would be there with my H pawn, moving it up the board. Okay, so again, the battle so far is all about this pawn that White has that cuts the board into. And now I'm expecting to see some ideas of expansion on the right side of the board.
Yes, so Fabiano, he will likely play on both sides. He's advanced his pawns on the left flank. Now Jovanka's expecting to see him throw pawns forward on the right. And let's see what he does. But either way, nearly 1 minute now on this last move. He cannot afford that type of thing. Later in the game, he does bring his knight out first. I think very logical. Maybe threatening to jump forward and attack the Black Queen. That's why Nepomniachtchi pushed a pawn. Now the knight steps back, aiming towards the centre, keeping more control, and Nepomniachtchi does break out. That is always the most controversial move in the French defence. It's either very good or it's very bad.
Wow.
So Nepomniachtchi trying to break out in the centre, trying to open up lines for the black pieces, which were originally quite cramped.
Isn't that strange of Nepomniachtchi to do when a draw is all he needs?
Well, it's the most thematic move in the position. I mean, every French player is taught that is the way to break out, because otherwise you're going to have problems with the light squared bishop. You know, it's stuck behind the pawn chain. And here we have a critical moment because after the pawn challenged by Nepomniachtchi, Fabiano simply...
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. The Black Queen feeling uneasy because of White's bishop, and instead we do see a set of trades in the centre of the board. White had to take with the bishop because the bishop was double attacked by Black's rook. It looks pretty scary for Black right now.
Totally scary, and I do like this next move that Nepomniachtchi has played, moving his bishop to attack and put pressure on the knight, on the white knight. And now
Is he happy with the queen trade? If he isn't happy with the queen trade, he has to do something quite drastic. Otherwise, Black will just capture that knight in the middle of the board. But he just brings his rook to the centre.
That was a little bit unexpected. I didn't see that one coming. I was focused with all the action in the centre. Okay, so...
I think that Nepomniachtchi, if he just wants to draw, he can trade everything in the middle of the board now and bring his bishop to the side of the board. And we're here where we see it. Black bring his bishop to the side of the board. That's the move Fabiano said he missed yesterday against Nepomniachtchi. He missed it again. We saw it in his face just 2 seconds ago. He missed that move. Now his knight is eliminated. He's missed that move twice in 2 days against the same opponent. Yeah, now we know his blind spot. He always misses the bishop coming to that square, the a4 square. But now, with the bishop and knight trade, there's, I think, minimal chances for White to win this game. You needed your knight on the board to attack Black's weak pawns. You needed your knight to jump to outposts. But now it's been eliminated. Black's king is the first one to reach the centre. Black has 2 central pawns, White has none. I don't think Fabiano is going to be able to fight back in this game, but he's attacking some pawns. Let's see whether he can whip up an attack maybe against the Black king.
Yeah, I'm thinking that there is perhaps some hope. I mean, I know it's a bit of a pipe dream at the minute. I can just see a scenario where, you know, he pushes the pawn on the right. Okay, there's been some developments because there's a possibility of a trade happening.
That is bizarre. Nepomniachtchi had a pawn under fire. He could have just sidestepped and defended it, taken a timeout. I think Nepomniachtchi, as black, would have no problems. Now suddenly he's provoking Caruana. The structure has changed. White was able to win a pawn, black regained it, but actually white's pawn was weaker than black, so that's not a good trade for black.
No, I mean, that black pawn was tying the whole position together. Bit of a baffling one, and I really do like what Fabiano is about to do, get his rooks.
The scores.
Yeah,
Nepomniachtchi just rushing again. You highlighted that Ivanka's weakness. He made that quick decision, and suddenly white has a choice. Two different pawns he can capture right now. Maybe he doesn't need to capture one of them. Maybe just step up. Personally, I think black has a threat. Black wants to bring the rook next to the black king down the board and attack some of white's pawns. Look at that, such a
rook to attack the pawn. Okay, so instead, Nepo actually moves his rook to defend the center pawn, but okay, this does allow Fabiano to grab his free pawn, and
can he just grab another one now?
No, that's white.
Never mind.
He would love to maybe relocate that white rook.
I was thinking of relocating the white rook to stop that pawn quite. So now the pawn is running, and note how quickly Fabiano stops that pawn. And the point is that if that black pawn just advances too early, then the white king will come in and round it up. But
Nepomniachtchi offering a trade of pawns on that left side. I'm not so sure. Okay, he wants to activate the black rook, but I don't think that will worry Caruana too much. I think Caruana is actually happy to trade all those pawns on the left side, as long as he can maintain his 3 versus 1 advantage on the right flank. And okay, he did attack black's central pawn. We do see a trade on that side. Black's pawn in the middle, though, is easily blockaded, and as Ivanka mentioned, maybe bring the white king over to round it up.
Yeah, like create a shield. I think you can even start with the king. Just start with the king, bring the white king in, and then use the okay. There it is. And then the point is you use the white rook. Now, please note how beautifully placed the white rook is there on the 4th line, and that pawn is just going to be so vulnerable.
Yep, so the white king has performed its duty. It is keeping an eye on black's pawn. Black is just going to wait now. Look at that last move by Nepomniachtchi retreating his rook. He's just going to play the waiting game and say to Caruana, I can't do anything, you have to break through. So Caruana now just use that white rook, bring it across, keep the white king safe, slowly advance your pawns, push on the side you're stronger. And I do think Caruana should win this game. This is actually really reminiscent of their game yesterday, the final game. Caruana won to balance the scores.
Totally. I mean, I was looking at that you have the same 3 versus 1 scenario there, and you have the situation of the pass pawn. I mean, and
Caruana
here we go.
won that one, and
exactly.
now he's pushing. And that pawn, it looks like a Lone Ranger, but it will be backed up by another pawn on the next move.
It's backed up by the rook, but don't worry, those pawns will soon start motoring.
Yeah, black's king now has stopped in its tracks. Hitherto shall thou come, but no further. That black king now stuck where it is. I don't see any plan for black, simply white's got an easy plan meanwhile of advancing the white pawns.
Okay, and we're expecting a pawn on the right to advance, and there it comes. Now another
More
pawn.
pawns, yeah.
Exactly.
They're all flooding forward now. How is black going to stop this? He just has the black rooks are paralysed where they are, protecting black's pass pawn. Maybe it's better not to have that pawn.
Yeah.
To free up the black rooks.
And there you can see the white king is going to snake its way round to the right side of the board and just help push the pawn forward. And there you go. And there's just nothing, absolutely nothing that Nepo can do.
Yeah, I mean, black is completely stuck. How depressing is that? You just have to move back and forth, and wait for the inevitable. Caruana now is ready finally to push a pawn and give check to the black king, force the black king back. The black king actually might be caught in a mating net later on. It might be a big target. Okay, black now harassing some of the white pawns. I will just give check with the white rook right now.
I also would do the same and then defend that pawn with my... Okay, so there is a check with the king, and I'm expecting... I mean, is there any sense in just advancing the king 1 square further?
No, okay, he goes back with the king. Maybe the idea is he wants to have the option of bringing the white king across towards black's pawn if he needs it. And yeah, very mysterious though. I would have put that white king further up the board.
I mean, it's a strange set of events happening.
Suddenly it's not so easy. Maybe black can use his other rook to eye up more. line up the black rooks across the board. There we go, eyeing up all of white's pawns. I think maybe Caruana's missed this one. He defends his pawn. But suddenly, okay, white's pawn's continuing to push. Black is still tied down though. Black is tied down. So how can he create counterplay? Okay, he starts pushing his own pawn. White's king may step forward and get up. How do you make progress with white? You can step forward with the white king as he does, but what's the next step? Okay, black continuing to advance. Black's not threatening anything on that left side, but he's just trying to scare Fabiano, trying to push that black pawn up the board as far as it can go.
Well, one thing that you can do is activate. Why is he not activating the rook?
The white rook.
The white rook, putting it in an open line. But I guess
Black rook would have stepped back, attacking white's pawns.
Yep. Okay.
So white's king. White hasn't made progress over the last 2 moves. He's just playing the waiting game as well. Maybe that's a good technique from Fabiano. Just make 3 or 4 quick moves, gain a bit of time on the clock.
Okay. Well, now we're going to see the pawns completely liquidated on the left side, and okay, so Fabiano just bringing his king into the game.
So the white king trying to enter the game, but I don't see a way to pick off black's pawn. And if you can't take off black's central pawn there, one of white's rooks is stuck. Suddenly it's not so clear. I think he had the perfect setup a few moves ago, but he went passive with the king. He should have gone active with the king. Now he's finally trying to get the white king active. But what's the plan? Where's that white king going? It's very mysterious. Okay, he steps to the side. That white king's been there before. He's also been there before. White's struggling to make progress. Fabiano, I think just that clock situation is going to hinder him here.
Yeah, okay, and they've repeated this position a few times, right?
What's the black move rooks? Black rook moves across one square. White's king's still not going anywhere. Okay, he steps back, attacking some of white's pawns. White's pawns start to advance. Okay, that does look scary for black, but those white pawns are more vulnerable now, and Nepomniachtchi is going after them. He's given up his pawn. The black pawn in the middle will drop, but white's pawns, maybe they won't survive either.
Okay, but what happens if you just push your pawn? Okay, so Fabi has done this, pushed the pawn. I'm guessing that you simply go pawn takes.
But maybe you can block that F line just to stop the advance of white's pawns.
I would pick the one with on the right, just to avoid any form of attacks.
Nepomniachtchi under 5 seconds as well now.
Yeah.
He does make a decision. He does go for your move, your bank. He blocks that line. White's pawn, 2 pawns up, but they're shattered. They're not connected, and maybe one of them will fall. Okay, black trading a set of rooks here. It's well known that these pawns, these F and H pawns as we call them, those on their own should be a draw if black can get the ideal formation. But okay, white pushing up the board. White's king is coming.
Oh no.
There, the black king easily able to step back and guard that pawn. It does look like Caruana, he knows no more chances. White cannot make progress from this position, and he just trades the rooks. King versus king is a draw.
Wow, it's a draw. Wow, it was looking so